Coming up on Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics, the top hits of 1965. 7 songs you'll never forget. It may have been the same old song for the Four Tops, but it was just one of their 3 top hits of 65.
Babe, I got you, babe.
Sonny and Cher's first #1 hit, I Got You, Babe, got the entire country talking about the duo, first known as Caesar and Cleo. Herman's Hermits, with one of their 7 top 10 hits of 65. Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons hung on long enough to sell over 100 million records.
It's not unusual to go out.
Tom Jones, room keys, phone numbers, and items of a more intimate nature. The Lovin' Spoonful and their magical appearance on Sullivan.
Just a silly fool to be in love with you.
Dino, Desi, and Billy. When the drummer's mom picked him up after band practice, she was the most famous redhead in the world. 7 songs you'll never forget. The top hits of 1965. Coming up on Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics. 1, 2, 3! (1965), summertime, and the living is anything but easy. The U.S. presence in Vietnam continued to escalate. In June, LBJ, for the first time, committed American men to the battlefield. And in the fight for civil rights, Martin Luther King Jr. led the Freedom March in Selma, Alabama. But amid all of the chaos of '65, there was one constant: rock and roll. And in rock and roll, few groups have been more consistent than the Four Tops. They began together in 1953 and have stayed together for over 40 years. And here they are, the Four Tops, on a hot July night in New York City with a medley of their top hits of 1965.
Detroit, the hometown of Joe Louis, former heavyweight champion. Here are 4 young champs, the Four Tops. So let's have a nice welcome for them.
They found its hearts and found a place in your hearts.
You're sweet as a honeybee, but like a honeybee stings, you're gonna let my heart pain. All you left was the favorite song, the one we danced to all night long. It used to bring sweet memories of a tender love that used to be. Now it's the same old song, but with a different meaning since you've been gone. It's the same old song, but with a different meaning since you've been gone. Darling, if I could have you to call my very own, I'd work my fingers to the bone. I'd never roam to you, I'd always come home. But there's something about you, baby, that makes me keep loving you. There's something about you, baby, makes me love you just a little bit more. Truly love you a little bit more now. Ooh, sugar pie, honey, my sugar pie. You know that I love you, can't help myself. I love you and nobody. When I call your name, girl, it starts the flame. Burning in my heart, tearing it all apart. No matter how I try, my love I can't hide. Sugar pie, honey, but sugar pie. You know that I'm weak for you, can't help myself, because I love you and nobody else.
Los Angeles, California, 1965. It was September 26th, and Ed Sullivan was on the road. During his 23-year run, Ed's show originated from some of the most popular cities in America. On this Sunday night, the Ed Sullivan Show had set up camp on the other coast, under the bright lights of Television City in Hollywood. Joining him were 2 young singers, first known as Caesar and Cleo, but we remember them best as Sonny and Cher. And here they are with their top hit from 1965, I Got You, Babe.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the current sensations of the recording field are two youngsters, Sonny and Cher. Now, Sonny's name actually is Salvatore Bono, and he was graduated from Inglewood High School out here. His stunning young wife, Cher Bono, was graduated from Montclair Prep School, which is out in the valley of Tarzana. Within the past 3 months, they've amazed everyone in show business by getting 5 hit records in the top 50, in addition to 2 albums, which is just incredible. So it's a pleasure to introduce my dear little paisans to you. Here are Sonny and Cher, and let's have a nice hand for it.
They say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out until we grow. Well, I don't know if all that's true. You got me, and baby, I got you. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. They say our love won't pay the rent. For it's earned, our money's all been spent. I guess that's so, we don't have a pot, but at least I'm sure of all the things we got. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
By 1965, the British invasion had already captured the hearts of most American rock fans. And one of England's most popular imports took full advantage of America's heartfelt infatuation.
Probably radio launched us because we were already all over the radio because we had a British accent. I mean, that was it. They played us because we were British.
And this American radio airplay paid off handsomely for these cute British boys. Herman's Hermits had 7 top 10 hits in 1965 alone. And on June 6th, Herman's Hermits played one of their biggest.
Now, from Manchester, England, Peter Herman Moon, Derek Offenby, Paul Gill, Steve Hopwood, and Barry Shipman, who are Herman's Hermits. Thank you!
The 8th I am, Henry the 8th I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry. She wouldn't have a Willie nor a Sam. No Sam. I'm a right old man, I'm Henry. Henry the 8th I am. Second verse, same as the first. I'm Henry the 8th I am, Henry the 8th I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry. I'm a Willie nor a Sam. I'm a right old man, I'm Henry. Henry the 8th I am. The 8th I am, Henry the 8th I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry. She wouldn't have a Willie nor a Sam. No Sam. I'm a right old man, I'm Henry. Henry the 8th I am. H-E-N-R-Y. Henry. Henry. Henry the 8th I am. Henry the 8th I am.
In 1965 was a year of dramatic contrasts. The Watts riots roared out of control in Los Angeles, and the conflict in Vietnam intensified. But the sound of music gave the world hope, and Don Adams told us to get smart. 1965 also gave us a hit from a group of doo-wop singers from Newark, New Jersey. Since their unassuming beginnings in 1955, the Four Seasons have sold more than 100 million records worldwide And here they are on The Sullivan Show with their top hit of 65, Let's Hang On.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here, for all of the youngsters of the country, the Four Seasons. So let's have a pleasant intro for them.
True love takes a lot of trying. Oh, I'm crying. Let's hang on to what we've got. Don't let go, girl, we got a lot. Got a lot of love between us. Hang on, hang on, hang on to what we've got. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. I'd pay any price to get it close to you. Give me a second turn it up. Don't cool off while I'm burning. You've got me crying, dying at your door. Don't shut me out, or I'll be here once more. Open up. Your arms, I need to hold. Open up. Your heart, oh girl, I told you, baby. Don't you go, baby. Oh no, no, think it over and stay. Let's hang on to what we got. Don't let go, girl, we got a lot. Got a lot of love between us. Hang on, hang on, hang on to what we've got.
After the British invasion hit American shores in 1964, pop music was looking across the Atlantic Ocean for the next big thing. Fortunately for the all-American boys in the Lovin' Spoonful, Ed Sullivan kept his eyes open for talent from this side of the Atlantic.
We didn't fit in with this mold of four mop tops very well. People kind of expected us to imitate the Beatles in a lot of ways that we didn't. But Ed Sullivan was the first guy who got it.
Ed Sullivan wasn't the only guy who got it. The entire country did too. In fact, in the very same year that they came together, 1965, their single, Do You Believe in Magic, became a #1 hit.
Some of this you'll have to watch on the screens here because there's some scenic effects. So here they are, back to entertain you with two more of their hit tunes. Zal, Steve, Joe, and John, the Lovin' Spoonful. Come on.
Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? How the music can free her whenever it starts, and it's magic. If the music is groovy, it makes you feel happy like an old-time movie. I'll tell you about the magic and the free your soul, but it's like trying to tell a stranger about a rock
As soon as Tom Jones was introduced to the world, comparisons to Elvis Presley began. Like Elvis, he had a raw, hot-blooded sexuality that drove women wild. It was so powerful, in fact, that his female fans soon began a concert ritual. The tradition began during a particularly hot concert when one of his female fans actually removed her underwear and tossed them up to him. Tom, so the story goes, nonchalantly picked up the undergarments, wiped his sweaty brow with them, smiled, and then tossed them back into the frenzied crowd. Here's Tom Jones in 1965 trying his luck on the Sullivan stage.
Richard Burton was the first Welsh star to appear on our stage. He was followed by the Royal Welsh Choir. Now, here from Wales, singing his new hit record, It's Not Unusual, Welshman Tom Jones.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. When I see you hanging about with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry on a dime. It's not unusual to go out at any time. When I see you out and about, it's such a crime. If you should ever wanna be loved by anyone, it's not unusual, it happens every day. No matter what you say, you find it happens all the time. Love will never do what you wanna do. Why can't this crazy love be more? It's not unusual to be mad with anyone. It's not unusual to be sad with anyone. But if I ever find that you changed at any time, it's not unusual to find that I'm in love with you. Oh, 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 oh.
During a cocktail party one evening at Dean Martin's house, Frank Sinatra discovered this teeny-bopper trio in his pal's basement. He dug their sound and signed them to his record label. Dino's kid, Dino Jr., was the bass player. The drummer, Desi, was also the son of famous parents, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Joined by neighborhood buddy Billy Hinchy on guitar, Dino, Desi, and Billy performed their top hit of '65, I'm a Fool.
Now, in introducing these three youngsters, may I remind my 39-year-old chum, Jack Benny, that the ages of these three total 38 years. Guitarist Dino Martin Jr. is 13. Incidentally, tell your dad he's just wonderful in those Western pictures with the big John Wayne. Guitarist Billy Hinchy is 14, and drummer Desi Arnaz Jr. is 11. The youngsters are going to open with I'm a Fool and a big hand. Let's have a fine hand.
Don't you know I'll be waiting by the telephone? Come while you're out running around. Yeah, I'm sitting home all alone. I'm a fool, just a silly fool, to be in love with you. Baby, I
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much.
I want to tell you that you're great. As all the audience agrees in all over the country, I'm sure that'll be encored by one of their mothers who's out in our audience. Lucille Ball, where are you? Here's Lucille Ball. Come on, let's hear it for Lucille. Very, very nice. Now listen, you got to come back. I'm sorry that you've had a broken up love affairs, but I want you to come back and.
Okay. Right.
Fine. Come on, now let's have a nice. So good night, everybody, and thank you for having been a fine audience. Good night.
Coming up on Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics, the top hits of 1966. 6 memorable moments in music. The Association, Along Comes Mary, to the Ed Sullivan Show.
My world is empty without you, babe.
The Supremes, without Diana Ross, it almost happened. Lou Rawls, gospel singer turned R&B great turned pop star. The Animals' last appearance on The Sullivan Show. The Mamas and the Papas, Monday, Monday, and Papa John's Lost. The Rolling Stones, band in Boston. 6 memorable moments in music. The top hits of 1966 on Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics. 1, 2, 3. America, 1966. The miniskirt raised both hemlines and eyebrows all across the country. 50-year-old Frank Sinatra married 21-year-old Mia Farrow in a 5-minute Las Vegas ceremony. And the original psychedelic guru, Timothy Leary, was arrested for drug possession. And in rock and roll, drugs were rumored to be the subject of one of the top hits of '66. Along Comes Mary was believed to advocate the use of marijuana. The song was performed by a Los Angeles group named The Association. Fact or fiction, the rumor pushed the song to a pretty good high. It was a top 10 hit.
Now, for all of you youngsters, here's one of the top rock groups of the world, The Association.
Every time I think that I'm the only one who's lonely, someone calls on me. Every now and then I spend more time at Ryman Verse and curse the faults in me. And then along comes Mary. Does she wanna give me kicks and be my steady chicken, give me pickles, memories? Oh, baby, rather gather tales from all the fails and tribulations. No one ever said when we met, I was sure I'd do much. Now my empty cup is as sweet as the buzz. When big desire is the fire in the eyes of chicks whose sickness is the games they play. And when the masquerade is played, then ever folks make jokes at who is most to blame today. And then along comes Mary. Does she wanna set them free and let them see reality? reality from where she got a name. And will they struggle much until I touch a tender touch to her and make them not the same? When we met, I was sure I'd too much. Now my empty cup tastes as sweet as the bud. And when the morning of the warnings past the gas and flash of kids are flung across the stars, the psychodramas and the trauma's gone, the songs are left unsung and hung upon the scar. And then along comes Mary. Does she want to see the stains, the dead remains of all the pain she left the night before? Or will their waking eyes reflect the lies and make them realize their urgent cry beside the road? When we met, I was sure I'd too much. Now my empty cup is as sweet as the bud. 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 Sweet as the bud.
In the late 50s, 4 young girls from the Detroit Projects formed a group that would soon become the Supremes. But Diana Ross was not one of those girls. In the beginning, the group was made up of Mary Wilson, Florence Ballard, and 2 other girls. But when one member dropped out to concentrate on her homework, neighborhood friend Diana Ross was asked to join. When the 4th girl left to get married, the Supremes became a trio: Mary, Flo, and Diana, the greatest girl group of all time. And here they are on The Ed Sullivan Show, February 20th, 1966.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the delightful Copacabana headliners, the Supremes. So let's hear it for them.
My world is empty without you, babe. My world is empty without you, babe. And as I go my way alone, I need you, babe. I find it hard for me to carry on. I need your strength, I need your tender touch, babe. I need the love, my dear, I miss so much. My world is empty without you, babe.
mighty fine. Really fine.
Thank you very much.
You know, Shay, I was watching the monitors here in color. The shade comes over just beautifully.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
America, 1966. The nation was having nightmares from Truman Capote's In Cold Blood, fantasies over Jacqueline Suzanne's Valley of the Dolls, and audiences were having a spiritual awakening from box office champ The Bible. Much of America also had a major crush on a solo artist whose song was both a pop hit and an R&B smash. Here's Lou Rawls on The Sullivan Show, November 11th, 1966, with Love is a Hurting Thing.
Born in Chicago, living now in California, Lou Rawls is one of the top records in the country. And here he is with it. Love is a hurtin' thing. Lou?
For every little kiss, there's a little teardrop. For every single thrill, there's another heartache. The road gets rough, the going gets tough. Yes, love is a hurting thing. Oh, love is a hurting thing. When you're in my arms, I'm a king on the throne. But when we're apart, I walk the streets alone. One day happiness, the next day loneliness. Love is a hurting thing. Oh, love is a hurting thing. When love brings so much joy, why must it bring such pain? I guess it's a mystery that nobody can explain. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'm a fool to keep on loving you, for there may come the time you'll break my heart in two. But I want you so, I want you though I know that love is a hurting thing. Love is a hurting thing. Love is a hurting thing. It'll break your heart in two. It's a hurting thing.
This band was one of the most popular groups in the British invasion, but nothing lasts forever, including Eric Burdon and the Animals. Just 1 month after their Sullivan appearance in August of 1966, the Animals completed their U.S. tour, then broke up.
Here are the Animals.
Criticize, I feel I'm nothing in your eyes. It makes me feel like giving up, because my best just ain't good enough. Girl, I want to provide for you and do all the things that you want me to, but oh no, don't bring me down. I beg you, darling. promises I will make. I'm ready to give as well as take. One thing I need is your respect. One thing I can't take is your neglect. Now, girl, I want your tender love. Then troubles are easy to rise above. Oh, oh, no, no, don't bring me down. I'm begging you, darling. I say, oh, oh, no, don't bring me down. Oh, I need you by my side now. Please, oh, no, don't bring me down. I'm begging you, darling. Help me, please. Oh, no.
Despite the popularity of such 1966 hit shows as Star Trek, Batman, and Mission Impossible, no show was more popular than the Sunday night institution known as The Ed Sullivan Show. The Mamas and the Papas were among Ed's favorite groups. They appeared on The Sullivan Show 3 times. Their highest charting hit, Monday, Monday, is a tune John Phillips wrote about personal loss, but he had no way of knowing just how prophetic it would be. According to John's autobiography, his wife Michelle left him shortly after he finished writing the song. But on December 12, 1966, they were all together on The Ed Sullivan Show. Michelle, Cass, Denny, and John, the Mamas and the Papas.
And now, here are these are Cass, John, Michelle, and Denny, who have won already recording fame, is the Mamas and the Papas.
Monday, Monday, so good to me. Monday morning, it was all I hoped it would be. Oh, Monday morning, couldn't guarantee that Monday you would still be here with me. Monday, can't trust that day. Monday, sometimes it just turns out that way. Oh, Monday morning, you gave me no warning of what was to be. Oh, Monday, how could you leave and not take me? Every other day, every other day of the week is fine, yeah. Oh, whenever Monday comes, you can find me crying all the time.
Come on out here, will you, Chickadee?
By the mid-60s, the Rolling Stones were drawing huge crowds wherever they went. During one concert in '66 at the Royal Albert Hall in London, a group of screaming fans rushed the stage. The attack resulted in a ban on rock concerts at that venue. That same year, riotous fans were subdued by tear gas at the Manning Bowl in Massachusetts. That meant the Stones were banned in Boston. But here, they are embraced by Ed Sullivan and on their best behavior, performing a top hit of '66, Painted Black.
The Rolling Stones.
I see my red door and I want it painted black. No
colors anymore. I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I see a line of cars and they're all painted black, with flowers and my love both never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like a newborn baby, it just happens every day. No more will my green seagull turn a deeper blue. I could not foresee this thing happening to you. If I look hard enough into the setting sun, my love will laugh with me before the morning comes. I see my red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness shows.
So good night, everybody, and thank you for having been a fine audience. Good night.
Coming up on Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics, it's the top hits of 1967. 365 days of chart champions. Johnny Rivers, carrying a message from Ed to the city of Baton Rouge. The Supremes, a happening year for Diana, Flo, and Mary. The Association, Never My Love, from the Summer of Love.
And everybody's getting back except Mama Cass.
The Mamas and the Papas, and the Virgin Islands retreat that inspired this 1967 hit. The Rolling Stones, one of 6 visits to the Sullivan stage. Coming up, 365 days of chart champions, the top hits of 1967, on Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics. 1, 2, 3. America, 1967, a radical time indeed. Hawks, doves, hippies, dopers, boot camp, Saigon, Viet Cong, napalm. America watched in disbelief as a deadly fire took the lives of 3 astronauts of Apollo 1. The head of the Food and Drug Administration actually called for decriminalization of marijuana, and heavyweight champ Muhammad Ali was sentenced to 5 years in jail for evading the draft. 67 was also the year that Johnny Rivers, singer-songwriter born on the Bayou, released Baby I Need Your Lovin', a cover for the Four Tops hit. The song spent 3 months on the pop charts and peaked at number 3. And on March 19, 1967, Rivers made it to the Sullivan stage.
I didn't meet Ed until I walked out on stage and did the performance and walked over to him, and he went, "Johnny, when you get back to Baton Rouge, be sure and tell everybody I said hello." And I went, "Sure." I was living in California, but what are you going to say to Ed Sullivan?
Here's another recording star from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, singing his terrific new hit, Baby, I Need Your Lovin', Johnny Rivers.
Baby, I need your love. Baby, I need your love. Although you're never near, your voice I often hear. Another day, another night, I long to hold you tight. 'Cause I'm so lonely. Baby, I need your love. Got to have all your love. Baby, I need your love. Got to have all your love. Empty nights, I call your name. Well, sometimes I wonder, girl, will I ever be the same? When you see me smile, you know things are just getting worse. Any smile you might see, baby, has all been rehearsed. Baby, I can't go on without you. This loneliness won't let me live without you. This emptiness inside me, baby, makes me feel half alive. Baby, I need your loving. Got to have all your loving. Baby, I need your loving. Got to have all your loving. Ooh, I need your loving. Got to have all your loving. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"1967 was a year that produced a multitude of memorable movies, such as The Graduate, Bonnie and Clyde, and In the Heat of the Night. Less memorable, though, was The Happening, starring Anthony Quinn. The movie didn't do well at the box office, but its title song was a #1 hit for the Supremes.
Here, doing the #1 record around the country, The Happening, the girls here.
Hey, light, look at me. I can see the reality. 'Cause when you shook me, took me out of my world, I woke up. And suddenly I just woke up to the happening. When you find out that you left the future behind. 'Cause when you got a tender love,
It was 1967, the year that Beatle Paul McCartney met a young American photographer named Linda, the year that Elvis finally married his dark-haired sweetheart Priscilla, and the year that 10,000 hippies swarmed into New York Central Park for a love festival called A Be-In. It was also the year that the Association released the song Never My Love, a single that climbed the charts to #2 that summer. And here's the Association on The Sullivan Show.
Now, for all of you youngsters, here's one of the top rock groups of the world, the Association.
You ask me if there'll come a time when I grow tired of you. Never mind love, never mind love. You wonder if this heart of mine will lose its desire for you. Never mind love, never mind love. What makes you think love will end when you know that my whole life depends on you? Da 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 da. Never mind love, never mind love. How can you think love will end when I've asked you to spend your whole life with me? Never mind love, never mind love, never mind
Kansas, hold up your hands. Who comes from Hawaii? You do.
Right here.
Figure that one out. Alabama.
Alabama.
Alabama there. Oregon.
Oregon, he's in the back.
Huh?
He got stuck on the
He got
step.
lost. Oh, you kidding? And Oregon. You've been a wonderful, wonderful to have you on this show. Let's have a wonderful good night.
It was in 1965 that the Mamas and the Papas took off for a few weeks of R&R in the Virgin Islands. According to John Phillips' autobiography, the group's top hit of '67 was named after their favorite watering hole, Creek's Alley.
Now here are the youngsters of the record you've enjoyed so much, the Mamas and the Papas.
Every place we go, people always ask us how we got together, and we sort of got tired of answering that question because everybody does ask us. Squeak. Little Topo is in there. Topo, you. And John has written an epic tone poem of historical nature describing our very get-together, and so we like to sing it for you now. Cue the tape.
John and Mitchie were getting kind of itchy just to leave the folk music behind. Saul and Denny were show the line. In a coffee house, Sebastian sat, and after every number they passed the hat.
Quinn and McGuire's just a getting higher in L.A. You know where that's at.
And no one's getting fat except Mama Cass. So they said to Andy, you know there aren't many who can sing a song the way that you do. Let's go south.
Penny said, sorry, darling, don't you think that I wish I could play guitar like you?
So Danny and Sebastian sat
At the night out,
and after every number they passed the hat.
McQuinn and McGuire still are getting higher in L.A. You know where that's at.
And no one's getting fat except Mama Cass. When Cass was a sophomore, planned to go to Swarthmore, but she changed her mind one day. Standing on the turnpike, thumb out to hitchhike, take her to New York right away.
When Jenny met Cassie, gave a love bomb.
Called John and Saul, and that was the mud bump.
Quinn and McGuire couldn't get no higher, but that's what they were aiming at.
And no one's getting fat except Mama Cass. Mud bumps, high jumps, low slumps, big bumps. Don't you work as hard as you play. Make up, break up, everything shake up. I guess it had to be that way.
Sebastian's all for the spoonful.
Michelle, John, and Danny getting very tuneful.
Quinn and McGuire just a catching fire in L.A. You know where that's at.
And everybody's getting fat except Mama Cass. Oh, rope busted, disgusted, age is yet be trusted, and then she wants to go to the sea.
Cass can't make it, she says we'll have to fake it.
We knew she'd come eventually.
Greasing on a Maryland Express car.
And slow rent.
We're keeping out the east hall.
Love these good vibrations, and our imaginations can't go on indefinitely. And California dreaming is becoming a reality. Becoming a reality.
When are you all leaving? When you go to Monterey?
Oh,
18th, isn't it?
18th?
yeah, the
You
18th.
get out there for the
17th and 18th of June.
16th, 17th, 18th, the Monterey's International Pop Festival.
Right.
Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Unknown to the Mamas and the Papas and Ed was that the Monterey Pop Festival would be one of the most influential concerts in the history of rock and roll. The Rolling Stones appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show a total of 6 times. On January 15, 1967, Mick and Keith with Charlie, Brian, and Bill performed Ruby Tuesday, a #1 single from their 1967 gold album, Between the Buttons.
The Rolling Stones. Go ahead.
Never say where she came from. Yesterday don't matter if it's gone. While the sun is bright or in the darkest night, no one knows. She comes and goes. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Ruby and the name
such a cost. There's no time to lose, I heard her say. Cash your dreams before they slip away. Dying all the time. Lose your dreams and you may lose your mind. Life unkind. Goodbye, Tuesday. Who could hang a name on you when you change every new day? Girl, I'm gonna miss you. Goodbye, Tuesday.
So good night, everybody, and thank you for having been a fine audience. Good night.